To the left, Pellegrini. Inside, Pizarro Golazo. Pizarro Golazo. Here's the goal scorer, Morgan. And he's done it again. Lewis Morgan with a second of the match. Higuain will have the goal. And it's framed the top 90. It's a sensational first goal for Gonzalo Higuain.
I never thought that I would be able to say, like, I have my favorite bowler in the sport of bowling. But I must say, after realizing that the game started at 4:30, was pushed back a little bit to conclude whatever professional bowling association event was going on, that man with the fresh 80s perm in his yellow and purple jumpsuit, rocking his WWE belt and talking smack to the WWE stars. That's right. He's a bowler. That dude is my new favorite professional bowler, and everyone should have that type of enthusiasm in whatever you're doing in this world.
You know who he reminded me of?
Who?
Will Ferrell from Semi-Pro.
Yes, Jackie something. I can't. Yeah, from the Flint trial. He also reminds me of was it like it was? I want to feel like there's like an arcade fighting game that had a guy like that, or maybe it was like SSX Tricky, like the snowboard game. But I've definitely seen that Fro guy in some sort of digital form before. What a character! Like, I wanted to invite him to my wedding.
He might be in those workout videos too. What are
Richard Simmons.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He had the get up and everything. That thing was a full blown jumpsuit, and I know what I'm being for Halloween.
Dude, like, he just brings a level of enthusiasm. It was like watching what was that movie? Is that show Kingpin or whatever? The bowling movie, like, just playing a normal guy. Like, he was a bald guy, just normal, quiet bowler. Like, you'd see at any probably bowling alley. And then he just comes in like super flash and he's like, bro, what the hell?
I mean, that was fortunate, right? I think everyone's a little bummed the game didn't start as much as we thought that it would, but we got to witness that. We could have switched it to something like the WNBA and really been clawing our eyes out.
And that little, like, the closing like image where he's like pointing at the camera with his fro pick. This dude is wild.
No, the best was the 2 pats on the ass when he was walking by the guy he just beat.
That was for being upset. The game was slightly delayed. I honestly thought it was kicking off at 4. I was like, all right, that just made up for whatever sadness I was experiencing. But enough about bowling. We're here to talk about football. Welcome to the Inter Miami Podcast. I am Jake Kington. I have to my right, mi derecha, Senor Alex Papa George. How you doing today, buddy?
Bueno. ¿Cómo estás, sir?
Okay, let's pump the brakes here before we start butchering things.
Good, because that's about all I know.
We'll be in it too. I'm kidding. But man, I'll tell you what, it's we said it before, but it's a lot more enjoyable doing these shows coming off a win than a draw or a loss. I'll tell you that much.
There's no question about it. And Jay and myself were actually talking about Mark Anthony, who is at the last home match, and it actually spurred a question. Jay, we've had Tom Brady, we've had Mark Anthony, we probably had a few other stars.
Tyson Fury,
the
Gypsy King, in his, dare I say, purple and yellow jacket.
Let me ask you this question: if you were to go out with any celebrity at all for one night in Miami, who would that be?
You know who I think would be a lot of fun? Riff Raff. Like, undeniably have a lot of, I'm sure there's more cool and interesting, intriguing people, but like, if I just wanted to have fun and like really just have some laughs, I just imagine Riff Raff being there would be a treat.
Well, you know, you never cease to amaze me, sir. There's no doubt. I was thinking though, what about Pitbull?
Pitbull should get on
Imagine
board
that
if he's
party.
Not already. You know, Pitbull's kind of ran his course. I feel like you don't really see him too much, but you might as well get on par there. He's Mr. 305.
It is, sir. But hey, anyway, jumping into today's show, we have an action-packed episode for everyone. We have a short little chat about the debacle in in Fort Lauderdale versus Montreal.
Do we have to?
Right? Why not? Why not just touch on it? I mean, listen, the team needed to win us back, and boy, did they ever. But damn, that was just super disappointing.
Incredibly disappointing. The worst half I've seen this team play. The worst half I've probably seen any team play in a long, long time.
And you know what? That's our short chat about the debacle with Montreal.
Poor passing, poor possession. We knew in the first 5 minutes this was not going to go our way.
I mean, we almost dealt with a riot, outside the stadium, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but complete lack of calmness. We could not press. They were so much more calm, just easy balls, quick and easy balls to break down our defense. And then we would get a little bit flustered and just try and bomb a long ball with the hopes that Lewis could get to the end of it. Horrible. Man, I mean, you even had to tell me to calm down.
Yes, I had to tell you calm down a few times, actually.
Yeah.
But I think you hit the nail on the head, sir. This was one of those games that just felt like our team, and it was actually evident in the Cincinnati game as well, that we don't like being pressured. Simply enough, we do not like when people get in our face, and that game was a clear reflection of that. And it's something that we really got to work on. I mean, whenever John's dealing with the ball, it seems like now that the front line's packing up. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on. Yeah,
I mean, I talked about this on Red Card Radio with Austin Robillard over the weekend, and actually referenced, a great article that Bruno Panizo wrote. And in there, what really stuck out is he had a quote from Will Trapp after he left, and it said that this group is a collection of individuals. And what he's saying there is they're not a team. It's too many personalities, not playing cohesive. And we really saw it then. The only positive, the only thing that brought a smile to my face was that when you're in such an unbearable situation, the fans were making me laugh with some of the clever insults they were throwing at either the refs or Montreal, but a lot of them directed at Inter Miami, and that made me smile about as equally as hearing Ray Hudson say it's the landlord versus the tenant, and the tenant beat us.
Well, let's not forget about the hot dog that you did get at the stadium too.
Did I eat a hot dog? Oh, yeah.
That always brings a smile to your face there.
It does. That's that in beer. It was a night game, man. I was ready for a good night, and didn't go our way. So without,
what did I tell you about an hour or two before the game? I was like, dude, I'm not going to get drunk.
Yeah.
Fast forward, rain delay. We're over here at Jay's place pouring the bourbon.
Yeah.
Late night.
So to be fair, we did not stick it out through the 2-hour delay. I'm a father. We both had to work in the morning, and so we decided, we stayed there for probably 45 minutes or something, decided to leave. And then again, if you don't know, now you know, I'm from Kentucky. I keep a stockpile of bourbon, and that's kind of right where we went. And it was that kind of made up for it. I will say they played better in their second half, but still very, very mad. And without triggering me again, let's just move on from this subject and talk about a little bit good that we have to talk about.
Perfect. Well, we do have a killer win that we came off of 3-2 against Cincinnati, ruining their stadium opener. How good does that get? We jumped on the Cincinnati podcast, was that last week, and we were talking about this event, and they were pretty jazzed up about this new stadium, and we told them we're coming in and getting dub. We both thought it was going to be a 2-1 victory. Obviously not correct in that, but we were right in the win for 3 points for Inter Miami.
And to be fair, I think the Cincinnati podcast we were on was, I think one picked them to lose. I think one picked a draw or whatever. But so, with this, I'm going to preface this entire conversation with, but it's only Cincinnati. I mean, this is the worst team in the league, has been for the past several years. So while this is a much needed win, and I was really happy in the late stages of the game when I thought we were going to be walking out with just a draw, I'm happy that they were able to really get it together, play as a team, play for each other, and get a winning goal. But I will be dropping little tidbits of, but it's just Cincinnati throughout this probably.
But it's just Cincinnati, but it's also 3 points. And who knows if we're tied that late in the game and have what happened to us last year go down, we not inch out those 3 points and pull in that one. So whether it's Cincinnati, whether it's, LAFC, whether it's, don't matter. We're picking up those wins, and that's great. And, we do have the Chicago Fire coming up next. That is an away match. So that will be an away match this coming weekend. And then we are back for our next home match against, who is that, DC United?
Correct.
All righty. Well, that's where we are right now. And I mean, Jay, why don't you go ahead and jump us on to team news?
Yeah, so just some updates on the team. Obviously, we've been dealing with some injuries. The good news is that the vertigo must have gone away for Julian Carranza, because we did have him back. He actually was subbed on towards the the end of the game. I want to say the 78th minute. Yeah, they subbed him on for Federico. So it was good to see him getting his feet under him again. We do need to continue to develop him if we're going to get his full potential. We paid quite a bit of money for that young man, and he needs experience, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be loaned out to Fort Lauderdale CF to get that. So I really want to see him being, if he's not being substituted, I want to see him get a start. We got to get him some minutes, get him some play. But we do have some players that were still out. Kelvin Leardon was out, Nico Fagal and Robbie Robinson, both nursing those hamstrings. I would have to imagine we're kind of on the closing end of those injuries, so I would expect them back sooner than later. But that's really the majority of the updates. Not too eventful throughout the week. Although they did release a pretty dope Love Wins, which I believe is for not only gay pride, but LGBTQ plus all inclusively. It's like a rainbow tie-dye training kit. I really like it. I will definitely be scooping one up.
Personally, can't wait for Robbie Robinson to get back on this club. See how his injury is doing. I mean, both dealing with hammies and Nico. I mean, back line's a little suspect as it is, but I mean, even as we watch these back line, I just have in the back of my head, this isn't our complete defense, right? We got Gibbs coming over in the summertime, and we potentially have reinforcements in the goalkeeper position too. So we are still, gaining speed, and we're gaining credibility in this league, and we got some people coming in to give us some backup.
Yeah, I think we've done an okay job of plugging those holes. I think we could do better for sure, but we're also experiencing really what it's like to not have Nico, who's been, I think he played almost not every minute, but every game for us last year. I mean, he is really the staple of our defense along with Gonzalez Perez. But I'll tell you what, you keep mentioning it. I don't want to steal your thunder, but your boy Shawcross keeps stepping up when he needs to step up.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, in all honesty, I think he has been the person who has caught my eye the most. And sure, he got crushed in the Montreal game, but who didn't? But you saw this game in this last match against Cincinnati, and we're talking about the match here upcoming, but just the defense that he put on Brenner, it seemed like the entire match. I mean, Brenner's one of the highest paid players in the MLS over from Brazil, and it just shows you how his dominance are. And I mean, just looking at the guy out there, he's just by far the largest human being when he's standing out there. So it's kind of crazy to see his stature versus everybody else.
Shawcross has been playing great. There is, an argument to be made that his man marking was a little lax on that second goal by Nick Haglund, but that dude came in like a rocket, hit a laser of a header, full speed, great jump. Can't put too much blame on him for that goal, but overall, it's a good addition.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to knock the guy on the Joseph Martinez goal, then I 100% agree with you. But I think outside of that match and probably the Montreal one, I think that the guy has played pretty stand up, especially being the first time in the MLS. And he's had some wear and tear on those legs too. So we'll see how he holds up over this season. But hey, it's good to have him on the club. And, let's kind of get into this match a little bit here. Jay, this was about a coaching match first and foremost. Talk to me about that relationship.
Yeah, really, really great. Obviously, Neville and I'm drawing a blank on the FC Cincinnati coaches. I want to say Diop, but it's not Diop. But they played together at Manchester United for 3 years. They won 3 EPL championships. And this was really the first time that they probably seen each other in quite some time, but certainly the first time they've gone against each other in a coaching perspective. But overall, I mean, hey, we'll take this. It's Jaap Stam. I was thinking Diop. Jaap Stam. Diop's the goalkeeper for Montreal. That's why. So yeah, Jaap Stam and Phil Neville. This was the first of probably many rivalries until one of them is either moves on or fired.
You can tell there was a little exchange there at the end. Both coaches, just their personalities are super fired up, it seems like, all the time. And, nobody's going to enjoy an L, especially to an old mate, especially like that. I mean, even David Beckham comes into play because he was on the same team. So that there was some text messages exchanged before and after, right? I mean, like, how could it not? I mean, shoot.
But these are two players who played at a very high level, and both played under Sir Alex Ferguson, regarded as the best coach really of all time in the EPL. So these guys come from a pedigree.
And both of these people have chances to build something great you know, too. Cincinnati is still a newish team. I think they've only been in the MLS. I think this is their third season in total before getting called up from the USL League. So these clubs are establishing themselves as it is. And, you know, hey, as they look to establish themselves, I know this graphic flashed across the screen. Most people saw it. I know our Discord blew up with it, kind of talking about it, but talked about the highest guaranteed compensation in the MLS today, looking at it team by team and who those top 5 teams were in 2021. And of course, there we are, Inter Miami, number 1 with $17.8 million. That's guaranteed money in 2021 compensation. Second, looking at Toronto FC with 17 million. Third, LA Galaxy. Fourth, Atlanta United. And then fifth is actually FC Cincinnati. So both of these teams are pretty heavy duty when it comes to the salary.
I'm going to consider that as a statistic, which means that we are number 1 on at least one statistic out there.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's actually a good way to think about it, Jay. That might be the only thing in the league that we are number 1 in.
And probably yellow cards.
I like it. Cliffhanger. Stay tuned to later in the show.
Hey.
Got some level 2 data coming at you.
We call that foreshadowing.
All right, Jay. I know you have no idea about this, so I got to put you on the spot. Who is our 5th highest paid player on this club right now?
Our 5th highest?
5th highest paid player.
Are you excluding Messi?
I may or may not. I'm not excluding him because that wouldn't be fair.
I would say it's got to be Julian Carranza, who would be just below Mateus Pellegrini, or I want to say below Julian Carranza would be Lewis Morgan.
Impressive, sir. You were slightly off. Mateus Pellegrini is the 5th highest paid player on the team. So we got the 5th highest paid player on the team, not even on the team right now.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Bro, he's the most expensive USL League One player in the history.
Get this. And then second, we have Julian Carranza, who is just dealing with vertigo. You got to look at this as, certain assets. And we have 2 of our top 6 assets that really don't play on this club that much.
Yeah.
And then this last game, we have to add on Rodolfo Pizarro. Imagine how much he's getting paid, $3.35 million a year.
This is a winning strategy, guys.
That's a lot of money sitting on your bench right now. We're not even dressed in uniform.
We got the dub.
We did get the dub. And hey, if we want to hold our hat on that, we're more than welcome to. But, it's something to take a look at as we are spending money hand over fist, which is what a fan base loves to see from management and bringing in the components. Like,
you just want to see the results.
Well, we're getting there. I mean, hey, right now, if you look at it, we are tied for 3rd on the Eastern Conference. And sure, we're joined by about 6 other teams, but we are tied for 3rd with 8 points right now.
But to be fair, teams 2 through 4, Orlando, New York City FC, and Atlanta United have only played 5 games, whereas we've played 6. So technically, you're right, but that will change, I'm sure, very soon.
Let me ask you this, just for fun. Who is the 4th highest paid player on the team? So sitting above Pellegrini and then Carranza.
Blaise Matuidi.
3rd highest, sir. LGP, sitting at a cool $1 million right now.
I thought he was like 900,000. Isn't Matuidi like 1.5 million?
Well, we got to talk about base salary.
Are these from last year or this year?
Compensation, 2021. There's a difference between guaranteed and base.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you're getting me. Okay.
Yes, sir. We're talking about guaranteed.
You're playing dirty over here.
Trying to a little bit. But anyway, I thought that was kind of fascinating there. Bringing it back to the game. We had mentioned it, but it was the first time really that the fans got to see FC Cincinnati, or at least in numbers. There was about 6,000 or so people in the stadium. Again, nobody brings it like La Familia, but they were loud, and we'll give them credit on that. But we can't wait to play them down in our neck of the woods, especially as we open this thing up to full capacity.
And I mean, props to them. We have been conditioned as Inter Miami fans of waiting long periods of time to be able to participate in something. And that stadium, I believe, took a little over 2 years to build. So they've been waiting on that for a while. I'm sure that was probably a very amazing feeling from the FC Cincinnati fans to finally be able to go into TQL Stadium.
They said it was something like a $250 million renovation or so in that construction project.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, but it looks gorgeous. I mean, the shots that they were doing zoomed out and overlooking the actual city down there looked beautiful. I mean, it did. I mean, sure, it's summertime in May, you know, show me that in, you know, early January, you know, late November, and I'm sure it's going to be singing a different tune, but right now,
just to put that into perspective, do you know how much Inter Miami Stadium cost to build?
Man, that's tough. Let's go ahead and say 30 million.
No, a little too low. 60 million though.
60. Okay. 60 million. Well, that's also not supposed to be our end goal. You know, we are supposed
That's
to.
That's not Miami Freedom Park. Exactly.
You know, that's really going to be, you know, I know a lot of people are pumped for that drive down to Miami, but Jay and I, that's really going to throw a wrench inside of our schedules here.
We're going to be Tri-Rail and Brightline probably just starting the party early on the way down.
Maybe we should just like get a bus like college style and just like bring everyone down and just drop them all off and just take them all back
Dude,
up.
party shuffle, the shuttles, that would be definitely for the supporters groups. Man, that'd be a good time. God forbid a cop pulls one of them over.
God forbid. Who knows? The cop might be an Inter Miami fan.
Cop would step on and be like, nah, screw this. I'm out.
Bringing it back to the match here. One quick tidbit that I found fascinating. I found this fascinating, Jay. We played a goalie this game, Kenneth Vermeer, who was picked off of waivers earlier this week. He was splitting times with LAFC. And, you know, our goalie position is a big question mark, but not as big of a question mark that they have.
That's truly fascinating stuff right there, bud.
That is.
And in addition to that, they picked up Jeff Cameron, who just came in this week. And there was their other center back. I think this was his first start. So they literally had their two center backs and their goalkeeper with like their first start. So it's kind of tough when those are your newcomers, but you got to give them credit. I mean, they fought, they attempted to make a comeback, and we were just able to kill the game off and get that last goal, which was something that we've really lacked. I don't know if we see this last year. I think once they equalize, and we'll get into more detail of how this played out, I think last year our players probably just give up there.
We also saw a new lineup out there. What do you think of it?
I liked the new lineup. So same formation, but as far as lineup goes, right? So still 4-2-3-1. I don't know why. No one in our Discord knows why Uyoya keeps starting as a right back, but I guess we're dealing with injury, so plug and play. Anyway, Uyoya on the right, Shawcross and LGP as our center backs. And here is the nice addition. I know Than was super, super happy about this because he has been eyeing Sammy Gadiri since last year on Fort Lauderdale CF. And he finally got his first start. If I'm not mistaken, he's 23 years old. I think he played a hell of a game. For that being your first game, he was willing to get up there and attack. Get in there to try and get some service into the box, and then kept it the same throughout the midfield with Matuidi and Grigore and their double pivot. If this is what I wanted to see, and you know, people might hate me for it, people might love me for it, but Pizarro got benched. Now, maybe he wasn't fit, or maybe there's another reason, but Federico got his start as the cam, which is what we've been wanting to see, had a spectacular impact on the game, flanked by Morgan on his right, per usual. On the left, we got our boy. I call him the Blood Viking. Conga Man calls him the Lizard King. We're talking about Breck Shea. And it was funny because we were in the middle of the Montreal games. We were just getting smacked. Breck was the only one making plays, and I just kept yelling, he's our best player. And
there may have been a few words left out of that, but
yeah, that was edited for the FCC airwaves or whatever. And then I posted this star. And by the way, Gonzalo Higuain up top, right? So the Higuain brothers, I like them playing together. Let's start more games with them if possible. Shea can rotate in there with Pizarro if needed. But I shared the lineup, and someone was like, "Oh no, not Breck again." I was like, "What do you mean not Breck, dude? Breck's awesome." And then it was like the 7th minute, and he scored. And then shortly later, I got a notification. It was like, "Oh, I guess I owe you a beer." But
I mean, honestly, the Federico change was needed. Like, it was different. Pizarro needed to sit down. We just needed as a fan base to see how this team played with Federico put in the starting lineup. And shit, man, I mean, I'd rather play games, jumping up on teams early than playing catch up from behind. And that's what we did.
Yeah. And, I understand that Breck Shea might not be, the most talented person in the MLS. Like, right, he's not really like a starter per se, but he always steps up when we need him.
The dude just has a nose for the ball.
He really does. Like that goal off the ball from get around the defender, in between the defender and the keeper, and just get one of those long tarantula legs to it.
There was a time last year that Breck Shea quite possibly was our MVP.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
If Lewis didn't go on the absolute tear that he did, Breck Shea very well. And Breck did get
Lewis
injured
started every game. Yeah, so Breck was injured. If Breck plays the whole season, who knows? That guy just somehow always scores. I mean, all hail the Lizard King.
The Lizard King. I like that.
It's so fitting,
the
dude.
Lizard King.
He's the type of guy you see at a Florida bar at 9 a.m, just ripping darts and drinking like Bud Heavies.
Chain smoking cigarettes.
He's got like that 80s like punk rock mullet, and I love it.
He does seem like he'd be pulled right out of the 80s.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Like, favorite movie's probably Top Gun.
Without a doubt. Jay, why don't you go ahead and break down the stats?
So the stats here, as far as possession, we did better on possession. We're still not winning though, which is frustrating, especially against a team like FC Cincinnati. But Cincinnati 53% possession, Inter Miami 47%. Total shots, here we go. Shots, 11 for Cincinnati, with 5 of those being on goal. 10 total shots for Inter Miami, with 7 of those being on goal. So if you're not good with fractions or divisions, we had the better line right there. Now, as far as fouls goes, quite a few in this game. 16 for Cincinnati, 17 for Miami. 5 yellow cards for Cincy, 3 for Miami. No red cards in the game. Love to see that. Each team had 2 offsides. Each team had 7 corner kicks. And Cincinnati had 4 saves, whereas Big John McCarthy had 3 saves.
Big John. We're going to get into Big John. John's been a hot topic. Are we done with the first quarter of the season, or are we kind of right around that point right now?
Oh shit, 34 games? No, we're not. We're
not even there yet.
Yeah, we're not into a quarter yet.
No, but
a quarter would be 7. So we want, and after the next game, yes, you could say we're a quarter through.
Like we previously just said, like just the injection of
math doesn't even add up.
No, sometimes
we are a quarter through.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this was a quarter through, right? It's 12 times 3. No, my math is whoa.
I think you're way off.
This is not the episode for quick math.
No, this is like
all.
It's like one. I'm not even gonna do it.
17. I mean, technically
carry the 4.
9 games after the 9th game.
All right, let's just move on. People don't want to hear us math. They're probably already to the conclusion. But talking about Federico, let's just do that every game, right? I mean, listen, I hate to put, our 3rd highest player on the bench, who is our DP, but if we're going to play like that versus what we've seen already thus far this season, like shit, might as well do it. But it kind of goes back to that point. I'd rather be playing from ahead than behind. And if that's going to require Federico to play in the beginning, then that's something we got to do. And we got to make the proper adjustments in the back end of the game, where it's 1-1 or 2-2 or even 2-1, and trying to take home that W over the finish line.
Agree wholeheartedly with that. That's basically my thoughts is, if we're going to have to start, let's say hypothetically, either at a start one or sub one on, right? I think it would be a better idea to start with Fede. He's older, 36 years old, so he'll probably be ready to come off at like 50 or 60th minute. And what kind of better weapon to have on your bench coming on than one of the hottest up-and-coming Mexican soccer players to come and kill a game and finish a game off for you? It worked out. I'm sure Pizarro obviously doesn't share the same sentiment as me, but it's a team game. And again, I want to see Federico start. I honestly want to see Pizarro start in his natural position as left wing. And then based off how it's going, we could always sub on, Breck Shea for Federico, say like the 55th or 60th minute, and then rotate Pizarro back into the camera and then give the wing to Breck Shea just to make that work. But Phil Neville's going to have to figure that out, because it seems like every time Federico steps on the field, good things happen. And we didn't really see a lot of that last year. I understand he came over mid-season, but I'm really happy to see he's still producing. And don't forget, he's not his brother. He's not Gonzalo, who's played for the biggest clubs in Europe, but he's had a stellar career, a high-level career in the MLS. And we're seeing, he's still got it, man. Like, I don't know how much longer he'll go, but we'll see.
Super important to see how Phil Neville handles this Pizarro situation. We talked about it last podcast, and, Pizarro and Diego had that relationship at Monterrey before, right, in the Mexican League. And he was brought into Inter Miami to be kind of a cornerstone piece. I actually think he was the first DP we ever signed, if I'm not mistaken, for this club. And now we're dropping a designated player, DP, down to the bench to not even play. And I think there's some point we're going to see him injected in the match a little bit earlier. I think that it was a little bit late. You even saw Pizarro warming up on the sideline. He went and took a seat right next to Phil after a few minutes, and they brought in that next batch of subs. But, you know, dealing with that mental, I guess, relationship and that personal relationship right now where they need to kind of mend, talk about what's going on and put the team first, right? And figuring out that side of it is going to be very, very important to the success of this team, because we simply cannot have $3.5 million and one of our designated players on the bench riding the season out. We
cannot. I mean, he was our first, real designated player, right? Obviously, Matty was the young designated player, yes, who was the first signing. But it's tough, but like it worked. Like as crazy as that sounds, and as much as Pizarro's not going to be happy about it, or probably the front office for paying that much money, he looked great at the beginning of the season. These past couple of games, he looked lost out there. So, we'll continue to develop, but I still think that Phil Neville is trying to figure out the best 11 he could put on the field.
Well, I mean, like, it's tough to argue when Federico's dropping dimes like he is to his brother, right? That little back kick pass to lead to to Gonzalo's goal was just absolutely beautiful. And the reality is Pizarro's not making that play. He is not making that play. He's catching the ball and he's turning up the field, not looking to be attacking. He's not looking for the offense right now. And that's not good.
It honestly might be like a lack of confidence thing, because Federico seems much more decisive with what he's doing. Like, he sees the opening, he sees the run, almost. He can time it up, and he's just calm in that role. Now, to be fair, he's 10 more years of experience and 10 more years of experience in the MLS than Rodolfo. I'm not ready to sign off on Pizarro. I still love Pizarro. He's still the Joker, still rock his jersey. But yeah, we're going through a kind of a discovery phase here. But I don't ever see a game where he's not playing. I mean, even if he's subbed on, in the second half, he can still come on and make an impact, especially with the legs he does have. If there's anything that boy has got, is legs. He can run and run and run. And you're coming on late in the second half or mid-second half, the other team's going to start to be a little gassed, and you can really start to impose your will.
I mean, there's not a world out there that you cannot play Pizarro to a capacity. Mm-hmm. There's just not a chance. So if you're sitting there thinking, pissed off, and be like, oh, sit this guy back, you just cannot do that. The success of this team is not going to happen like that, because then you start thinking about the longevity of the season, right? Do you think Federico is going to stay healthy and be able to play in every single match and start every match and put those types of wear and tear on his body? I don't think so. And again, I come back to, stars got to be stars. Mm-hmm. That's why they're paid the big bucks. I'm looking at the sheet again right now, and Federico's getting paid $80,000. $80,000, which is a steal for what Breck's like $50,000 was last year. But that cannot happen. And if we're going to get to the next level, right, when we're going to advance through the playoffs and hit, the quarters or the semis and actually make some noise, then Pizarro has to be a part of that, or, we got to make moves.
I agree. But the good thing about this game was that we didn't struggle really in the attack. We were able to come out and started producing chances and offense right away. But it's just Cincinnati. But at least we're trending in the right direction.
Good news is we got to celebrate 3 goals. 1 by our boy Breck, and 2 by our boy Gonzalo Higuain. Super stoked to see him get 2 goals. That was the first time he has ever done that in a match, scored 2 goals in one game. That puts him at 4 goals for the season thus far. That is 4 times the amount of goals than he had last year, Jay.
Yeah, and it's impressive. But most notably, this is the first time he scored from the run of play. Previously, everything had been, off a set piece. You had his free kick last year, beautiful rocket. And then you had the cross from Federico where he scored. And then what was the other one? A corner, I believe. So it's really nice to see him be able to, kind of like we said with Lewis, you just had to get that first one and the rest will come. Well, he got that first one. I'm talking about from the run and play. He got that first one, and then the second one came before the end of the game. So very happy to see that. And at least, because everyone was saying like he's not producing for the money, at least for now, that conversation can be tabled.
Well, right now he is sandwiched right in between two players from NYCFC for a 3-way tie for the third leading scorer in the MLS right now. So The dude is putting in numbers. He's doing exactly what we want and need him to do. And let's just hope that he continues this.
Self-correction. My brain is not operating today. It was not off a corner. It was the penalty against LA Galaxy. That was his third set piece goal.
Good correction, sir.
But moving on, let's take a few minutes. Talk about Breck. Oh, Breck. Outstretched goal. He is like literally the Kevin Durant of the MLS. The dude has length. Ball came in from the right side, passed to Gregore, who then, there's probably like a little eye contact, little nod, like, yeah, you go do that. And then he serves the ball in there. And I honestly did not think that Breck was going to get to this ball, but he got around the defender, kind of bodying him with his left arm, and just reaches out his right foot to just connect with the ball, basically pushing it through Vermeer's legs for a beautiful, beautiful goal. And man, like I screamed, and it startled Chloe.
So you think Breck Shea is the Kevin Durant of the MLS? I was thinking more of like...
No, the build.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
he's definitely not like...
He's not like the Udonis Haslem or
he's
something.
not an
like.
all-star. Yeah, dude. He's probably the JaVale McGee.
The Chris Bosh.
Yeah. He's lanky out there, man, but he makes it work. And, you want to think like a 6'3" dude like rumbling down would just be able to like shake your boots off. But the man's got some nice footwork. But outside of that, I mean, it seemed like we had constant pressure from an offensive standpoint, which was nice to see. I get it. It's just Cincinnati, but that's something we've struggled against teams that haven't been too great that we've lost to.
It's just nice to know that we can do it.
Yeah.
For
sure.
It's just reassuring. Sometimes when you just get smacked down so many times, it's just hard to get up until you just have some good shit happen to you. And that's what happened to us, man.
For sure. And I mean, we've just discussed Federico, but it's very clear that, he had an impact from the start. And I think he's earned a second start. And I hope that's in the middle of the, the midfield, the cam role there. And I don't know what else to say. I think that we're getting confidence after a win like this. This was kind of a make or break game. We lose this, and that's really going to destroy our confidence.
Listen, I don't think it was a coincidence that our team was aggressive out there. I think that was purely off the emotion potentially of the brothers starting, but there's no doubt Federico had his footprint all over this game.
Yes, correct. And, to be fair, right? I mean, Gonzalo's mother did just pass, so I'm sure that's been tough on both of them. But now, a couple weeks pass, I think they're starting to kind of harness that and then focus that into the game, and that's something that's beautiful to see.
Well, Phil Neville talked about that this week. I think it was actually after the match too, just about how that toll he could see building on, Gonzalo specifically, but both of them. I mean, shit, like
because Neville lost, I think his mother. Or his father, one of them, but he was saying like, if you haven't gone through that, it's tough to put into words.
Yeah, let's flew halfway across the world to go do that, come back for the game, had an emotional victory, come back from behind victory, as they tag teamed it together and went into MLS history. And, hopefully, we hope that they're doing okay, as people, right? Beyond the pitch and just hoping that their family matters are in order and, that they're doing all right.
Yes. I mean, the family unit is a very big thing in Latin culture. And of course, it's going to make it a little bit easier when the brothers can be together, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're on the same team. So, our continued love and support for the Higuain brothers. And I really think this is a turning point for them.
Yeah. But, there is one player, Jay, that we have not talked about, sir. And he's a big supporter of the podcast. And he's a big fan.
He's the postman. He's Lewis Morgan. He had 2 assists, always in attack mode, always giving 100% effort. Those 2 assists actually put him tied for second in the MLS with 3 assists this year, although it is a 5-way tie.
It's not bad. We got a few players leading the league in a few key statistics. That is
and
Lewis.
Before we leave this, Gonzalo Higuain, MLS player of the week, not just on the team of the week, player of the week. First time an Inter Miami player has won that award.
You don't say. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, you know what that gives us time to do?
I beat you to it. I wish you could see his face right now.
Dude, I was scanning through my board like, oh shit, where is it? Where is it?
That's great.
Oh man,
That's
I
great.
almost hit you with a. This just gets funner and funner each time.
More fun and more fun. You don't even know grammar.
Listen,
or
I mean,
biology or math. How did you make it this far?
Oh man, oh man, oh man. But anyway, we had talked about it. The impact that Federico had was obvious. Now, one part that I liked when we talked, just wrapping this whole thing up, is just that the fact that Federico doesn't give up on the ball. I don't know if you saw the first goal that we put in with Gregory putting that ball behind the defense, Breck making an outstanding play to put the ball in the back of the net. But Federico was actually pissed off, waving his hands like we know that we like to do. And there was a point that I thought that he was going to give up on the play, but he didn't. He actually pushed back up closer to Gregory to open up a passing lane open to him. But when he saw that, the back line actually moved up with Federico, and that actually allowed Breck to get one-on-one in the back post. And, hats off to Breck for making one hell of an athletic play, but that doesn't happen if Federico doesn't make that effort play.
It doesn't. But rewinding about 5 to 7 seconds from that goal, there was a play Gregory made in the midfield that a lot of players would not have made. But he is a pit bull. He is tenacious. And there was a ball, and the ball was coming in, and there was a defender. The ball was going, or one of the FC Cincinnati players, rather. And most players would just go up, maybe get a hand on their back and try and stop them from getting around. Gregory actually ran around the defender, got in front of him, and chested the ball forward to basically win that possession back, service it down to the right wing, and then ran down to the right wing to get involved and ultimately made the cross. And he is beautiful, beautiful service from really anywhere on the pitch. So hell of a play by Gregory. He really is the reason that goal was able to occur.
He's making plays up and down this pitch for us, and the level of enthusiasm and energy in the right place in the right time, and just swag, as we say it, right? Like he just brings a certain type of swag to the team, and it just starts with the amount of effort that he puts out there on the pitch.
Yeah, if you haven't already, go watch his highlights from Bahia. It is very, very impressive, the types of plays he can make. And there's also a little rumor we might be getting an old Chelsea baller, David Luiz, but we'll get into that later, or David Luiz, rather. But yeah, still, Gregory, hell of an aggressive game. A bad penalty for, with a few minutes left in the game, but whatever. He plays with such a passion. It's very nice. And Matuidi was a little more quiet than we'd like to see, in this match. But, he's kind of a target, dude. They really do like hitting him. So he's going to have to continue to get better. Everyone's going to have to continue to get better. This is just the start of the direction we need to be in.
It's the start of something good, and hopefully we continue to get these wins underneath our belt and put together our first winning streak against Chicago this coming week here. So,
and then DC, there is a reasonable chance that we have a 3-game win streak if we can focus.
There's a road to sitting at first in the East by the end of 2 weeks from now.
Technically.
I like to gamble.
Technically. But yeah, it would depend on what happens with New England Revolution and, of course, the other teams that still have a game to play.
But as you tell me every week, this is the MLS and crazy shit happens.
Yeah, literally anything can happen in this league. But, moving on, we're going to talk about the goals. So this is kind of heartbreaking, right? We go up 2-0. We feel great. And then the second half starts. And, of course, lapse of focus, whatever you want to call it, they were able to score twice. Now, both of these were, technically, yes, you can blame some man marking or everyone not being on the same page. But the first one, which was just a long ball that broke the back line, and then Barreal in the 59th minute was able to really just bring it down, and then with the second touch after that, hit a really, really nice chip shot. That's really classic Jay Kington FIFA stuff right there, bud. But it's very hard to blame. You could blame, LGP or Shawcross for maybe not being there. Really tough to blame McCarthy in this situation because it was just perfectly up and over and couldn't even get a hand to it. And then again, we talked about the second goal at the top of the episode, but Nick Hagelin, and he's like the Cincinnati kid, right? He was one of their first initial signings, and they were basically hyping him up as like the he's from Cincinnati, born and raised there, so they were hyping that up as the kid of the city, or however you want to word it. But he came in like a flying maniac, just blasted the ball with his head. I mean, I don't know what keeper could stop something moving that fast with that short of a reaction time. And it was at that moment where I kind of like, my shoulders dropped a little bit. I was like, shit, here we go again. Another game we're just going to let slip by. And going back to last season in those situations, the team just gave up. They really did. Both these goals were tough. They happened, like within like 25 minutes of each other. So it just seemed like everything was going wrong. But with a new look and some substitutions, we played well for the most part as a unit, and we were able to stay focused. Long ball down to Lewis Morgan, who gets just crushed. Lewis has been getting crushed the past couple games. I hope he's not dealing with any like bruising or anything. He gets crushed, somehow falls like over the ball and kicks it out. Gonzalo gets it. Now he's got Carranza on his right. Then outside of that, you've got Lewis Morgan, who had gotten up in that short time frame. I'm sure Carranza just wanted to touch the ball in that situation, but Gonzalo Higuain runs up before he gets to the 18-yard box, dishes over to Lewis. He continues running. Lewis continues running. Beautiful cross. Perfectly placed cross in front of all the defenders. And then Gonzalo was able to get a foot to it, which honestly could have been an injury, I think, as you mentioned, if that went bad, probably 1 inch or to the left or the right, but just blasted that ball in. And Chloe had just opened the door because she let the dog out. And I just started screaming. So she was just like startled in front of the door, like, what the hell is wrong with you? But man, whew, it's an emotional roller coaster over here.
Lots wrong with you, sir. But we won't get into that. That's a new pod. But what's nice? I was thinking about this. I was like, it's nice not to give up a goal like 5 minutes after scoring one, right? Like that has been a trend that we have shooken off this year, and I'm happy about it.
It's nice to score a goal within 5 minutes of conceding one.
Well, let me ask this.
Because that's what happened. Hagelin scored in the 82nd minute, and Gonzalo brought it back in the 85th.
I think we only had one game last year that we had 3 goals in the same game.
Definitely Orlando.
Yep, that was the one.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think that was just the Orlando City match.
And that was 2 by Carranza with that beautiful little rainbow bop and that little one-time beauty from Pizarro. Yeah. That was the first win at Inter Miami Stadium.
Yeah, big time, memorable moments.
Good day.
I guess, looking at the goalkeeper, last part of our backline unit here, there's flashes. Listen, man, there's flashes of John. It's never been a question of, is John a good goalkeeper? It's just, is John a starting goalkeeper? Minute 37, he saved a shot, stuck his hand out on the right, blocked it. I thought that was a for sure goal. I was already giving the one to Cincinnati. But then, on the other side of things, looking at the not so hot part of this whole thing, he is tied for 3rd in the MLS with 9 goals given up to date. So the dude is allowing a lot of goals. That is not the statistic that you want to be high for.
And some of it's just poor positioning, honestly.
Well, I think a lot of it too is poor positioning is a big part of it, but honestly, we got to do a better job in just getting the ball out and moving it quicker, right? There's so many times that we see, especially being at the games, right? And I think it's just the full adrenaline and atmosphere and everyone's yelling something, but you can really recognize it on the pitch where, John will get the ball, he'll push it outside, wide to like a Leardrum or Jovan Jones, something like that, or a Yoya, and then the ball will reverse back to John, and John, it's like a 5-second delay of like, what am I doing here? Where am I going? And it's a blatant miss on the reverse counter where you can hit Gregory or Matuidi on the backside and you got nothing but pay dirt. So, that's been something that has been sticking out when you watch John, is just that I guess, inability to quickly move the ball around and switch the direction there for the formation of the team that we're playing. So,
but it's everywhere. It's not just with the back line and McCarthy. It's anyone that gets pressed just like freaks out and loses their cool and then makes it an ill-timed pass.
It's everyone,
or just tries to get a long ball. No one can just turn and say, like, where's the easiest outlet I have right now?
But also, we're not moving to create those outlets for one another is a big part of it, too. And I think the reason why it's so glaring when you see it with John is because it tends to be when he picks up the ball, right? So play kind of stops. So now you can see the defense readjust to what's going on the actual field. And then play commences. And then you know that part of their strategy, right? Like, if we're watching it, they know that this is it. So now what we're going to start to deal with is teams playing heavy press on our back line. They know that we are sketchy with this ball and we are vulnerable to make mistakes. And there was a couple points in this game that, we were actually pretty damn lucky that turnovers didn't turn into goals. So certainly something to keep an eye on. And I mean, Jay, one thing I haven't seen in a few weeks here was actually the John Cena "You Can't See Me" motion by John McCarthy. I don't know if someone, maybe Joseph Martinez gave him one of those after the end of the match, but haven't seen too much of that.
You know what I just realized?
Breck shades.
Well, first off, we need to stop the John Cena thing. Maybe it's John McCarthy, so they share the same name, John. I don't know. That's poor in taste. But Breck's little celebration, he's throwing up an L. Is he declaring himself the Lizard King?
Wow. You think so?
Is that the lizard point?
I don't know.
We need more.
I think you got to ask Conga Man.
We need more information. Someone needs to confirm with us. Is that Lizard King related? I need to know this now.
Well, can we not figure this out now and maybe wrap up the show? And
Sure we can. Before I get into my closing thoughts, just completely break away, do some fun here. Power rankings. Hey, we're up 2 spots from 20 to 18. Good job, boys. Keep trending in the right direction. Anyway, back to my closing thoughts. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. The announcers mentioned Cincinnati is 0-35 games when they give up the first goal. And when they said that, I was like, shit. Of course, we're going to be the ones that they break the streak on.
Not that same thing.
Yeah, because it was that was after it was tied 2-2 or whatever. And well, good news is now they're 0-36 when giving up the first goal. The team needed to win. The fans needed. La Familia needed this win, but it's just Cincinnati. We get it, but we do have 2 winnable games that are coming up. I want to see us piece together a winning streak, and I did like what I saw. Credit to Phil Neville for making the adjustments he needed after that horrible midweek game against Montreal. And I'm just really proud of the boys for not giving up after conceding that second goal.
You know what I thought of, dude? One of those kind of shower moments where you're just thinking of God knows what. Imagine
just spinning fire bars in the shower.
Totally, dude. Right in between the Tupac and Biggie Smalls, rap songs. But what I was thinking, imagine Boston and Clay, dude, going through this roller coaster of emotions from the FC Cincinnati podcast.
Oh yeah,
where they must have been just through the roof. And if you guys didn't listen to our little spot on those guys are hilarious. When they come down, we're definitely got to do a show with them because they're great. And man,
I've not laughed that hard in any, I don't think, interview or collab we've done. I mean, the Cooligans had us giggling, but just cheeky jokes, man.
Those guys were funny as hell.
Yeah, they're probably sad. Then okay, we could do it. Oh my gosh, we're gonna do it. Then 3 minutes later, just shattered again.
Yeah, they knew it was coming too. I mean, it's not often that you jump on, a different podcast and they go ahead and submit the L right off the bat. But those guys were a good time. And I mean, one thing that was kind of funny that I wasn't ever expecting to see was it just seemed like Cincinnati was complaining more than we were, and that rarely happens. So, maybe the bobblehead has to go ahead and pass it over to Cincinnati this week. But I think that's some trend that we should stick with, right? What if we just didn't get after the ref, for a game and just maybe just play the match and see what happened, right? Who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe it's just a new thought for us.
But the refs constantly do screw us over. Everyone ever screws these damn refs.
Well, that is true, sir. But this actually gets into my favorite part of the show, and we've been keeping track of it. We talk about it all the time, but we're talking about yellow card allocation
Where are we at with it, bud?
Where are we at? Right now, we have a bunch of players with yellow cards. I'm talking.
Damn, dude, Gregory has that many?
Yeah, we got 7 players on this club with yellow cards right now. Let me go ahead and start from least to most. Because, might as well go from descending to ascending order. All right, number 7, Edison Ascona has 1. Sammy Gadiri has 1, which it was a yellow, but the dude played super well. And I mean, hey, it was all right. He just mistimed it. Number 3, Jay Chapman with 1 yellow card. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. There's actually 8 players. I didn't see this. Both Higuaín. So I was counting 1, but it's actually 2. So both Federico and Gonzalo have yellow cards. Blaise Matuidi has 1. And then we jump up quite significantly to our top 2, which is Gregory and LGP, both with 4 yellow cards apiece.
Well, tell you, I'm not surprised with OGP. A little surprised with Gregory. And you're really going to card up this 17-year-old player, Ascona? Come on, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, honestly, it was against Dax McCarty, too. So, who gives a shit?
Yeah, right?
But right now, Gregory and LGP are sitting 1 yellow card away from having to take a suspension from an MLS regular season match, as well as $250. They really got to check that up, man.
That's so damn petty, dude.
You got to check that up to
$250. That is
$2,500.
That is embarrassing on the MLS's part. Yeah, make that at least $2,500.
Even Ascona's laughing at that. He's like, sure.
With his 60K he's making as a 17-year-old. Yeah, sure. Take this $250. I'm not even paying rent. I'm living with mom and dad.
Oh shit. Well, listen, that's after 5 yellow cards, right? So 5 yellow cards gets you a suspension and $250 fine.
Do you want me to write a check?
So to go take that down in the bail bondsman.
Do you take Venmo? That is just petty.
Government's even I don't even care. Yeah. But
bro, I get more on my stimulus check.
So 3 yellow cards after those 5, right? So now we're at 8 total yellow cards over the season. So this is very much going to happen within our next few games here for a few players.
Nico better get back here quick because we're about to be out even more.
Well, get this. You are suspended for another MLS regular season match. And check this out, Jay. You are fined $500 this time.
Hey, at least those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those up, MLS.
Kona's still laughing to the bank, man.
Let's go. Let's get up there. Come on, bud.
All right. So now, now say you get 3 more yellow cards, right? So now you're up to 11. And I got to say, we have a high probability that 2 of our players hit this during the regular season. So if you have 11 yellow cards, that is a $750 fine. If you can catch this theme,
it's a whole Xbox.
$250 every 3. So really not that bad. You're really looking $75 per yellow card. So might as well go swing away. Anyway.
There's more.
There's more. It just keeps going, man. You get 2 more yellow cards, right? So now we're at 13. You are fined $1,000, and it continues to the 3rd and the 5th incident. You get the idea. It's super, super cheap to get yellow cards. You're just really screwing us while you're doing it. But
they give you a night of home incarceration as well.
You might get a night at the Holiday Inn. But there is a good behavior incentive, right? They actually have to incentivize good behavior. And when I read this rule, I nearly pissed myself. But the player will automatically reduce his yellow card accumulation total by 1 yellow card each time he appears in 5 consecutive matches without receiving a yellow card, red card, or any disciplines. And I said, there is no way LGP is not going 5 games without picking up a card.
Do they then pay you $250?
It's a good question.
They should. But it says, or any disciplines. So if you're a defender, good luck playing through a whole game without 1 foul being called.
Man, this is too great. They really got to revisit these rules. If you're up for 13 yellow cards and you're getting fined $1,000, something's just wrong with that.
You're better off stabbing someone. There's less of a penalty if you stab someone in a game. Anyway, wrapping up. This is a better game for us, obviously. We gave it the lead, but fighting back really shows signs of character. So let's keep it rolling. Let's get these another win. Let's make it 2 in a row. Let's go on a little win streak here. We're going to be talking about the worst branding in the league. Barely etching out Columbus Crew's horrible horrible rebranding, but we're only talking about Chicago Fire. It's literally like my 4-year-old son could draw a better crest. Anyway, take us away.
Chicago Fire, we got a match Saturday. That is the 22nd of May at 6 p.m. So that's a pretty good time. Saturday at 6 p.m. we are going to play an away match in Chicago. So we're playing the Chicago Fire. They have 1 point, 4 L's, and 1 tie on the regular season. This team is not good at all.
Don't jinx us.
In fact, they are last in the MLS with goal total. There's 3 goals total that they have scored thus far this year in 5 games. That is not good. They are also tied for second in the league with most goals given up with 10. It's a pretty good
So they're 1 spot ahead of
combination.
us.
Yeah, I was like, this is a pretty good winning combination, though. Like, if you're not scoring goals and you're giving goals up, okay.
That's what we want to see. All right, few impact players that they do have. Luka Stojanovic, midfielder, 2 goals, only 274 minutes played. Boris Sekulic, midfielder, 2 assists, 450 minutes played. And I love this name, Bobby Shuttleworth. He's their goalie, 17 saves, 26 shots faced, 0 shutouts. Let's go out, get our first win in front of fans. Not our fans, but we'll get it.
And with that, that brings you and me and everyone else to the end of the show. We appreciate you for stopping by. We are the Inter Miami Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and give us 5 stars on Apple Reviews. Click subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your families, tell everyone's. We're coming to a headset near you soon. Go ahead and follow us on all of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram at Inter Miami Podcast, Twitter at Inter MIA Podcast. Go ahead, hit us up, shoot us a follow, shoot us a DM, do your thing, and check out Pink Smoke.
All hail the Lizard King, as we end every single episode. Vamos, Miami!
Vamos, Miami.